The 2015 Wisconsin Regional Championship. I am Kyle Pukasukovic, joined by the winner of our last round, Matt Alvis. Matt, how you feeling after that big victory over Dustin, who is probably one of the best players in the world?
Pretty good. This is a tough first match. Honestly, I never played the matchup. I've heard of the deck. I had an idea of what it did, but I kind of had to play on the fly and see what I could do. And I was fortunate to catch that N at the right time. You don't always have, there's only one N in my deck, so you don't always have it at the perfect time, but that was the perfect time.
Yeah, so walk us through that first game. It started off horribly for pretty much both sides. You didn't do anything for the first couple turns. He gets that big Mega Rayquaza up. It does 300 damage. You can only do about 30 damage to it at a time. What's going through your head as, he's knocking out your Seismitoad one by one?
I was baking on the end. It was a rough start, and eventually when he got that powered up, like I said, I never played the matchup, so part of me thought he gets that powered up, I'm just done. I need to hammer that before it gets, built.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to, but because it discards, its energy, I knew there would be an opportunity to catch it when it had, not a lot of energy on it, maybe. Eventually, so I played it out. Like I said, I was lucky to get that N, and he wasn't able to draw into any energy or anything like that. And I had at the end of the game, a few cards here and there to kind of put that one away.
Yeah, having to discard the 2 energy every time is huge for that deck, especially when you got that N at the right time. You throw in some crushing hammers. It sure is a scary Pokemon. 300 damage. Resist the 20 on your Seismitoad.
Totally unnecessary 300 damage. 200 would be fine, but really. Might as well do 700 damage. Why not at that point?
Yeah, so a little bit of overkill on that attack, but eventually 30 damage beats out 300. I'm not sure how the math quite works out on that one, but it sure does.
It's funny how it works like that, yeah. And the whole game, I was kind of hoping to, I was just hoping to avoid, getting that kind of, onslaught of 300 damage. When he got it out, like I said, I thought it was over. So, fortunate to pull it out. Dustin is a very good player.
All right. Yeah, Dustin, an incredible player. So, big victory for sure. Now you're sitting at 2-0. What made you decide to go with this Seismitoad deck?
To be honest, I only play tested 2 decks. It was this and Rayquaza, and while Rayquaza is a ton of fun to play, being able to do all that damage, turn 1 or whatever, it's crazy. But I felt at the end of the day, even if you get that one big turn, Seismitoad's able to counter even that. So I didn't feel comfortable playing it. It had some other bad matchups, so. By process of elimination, that left me with 1 deck, and that was Shaman, which I think is okay because it's a pretty good deck. I think a good choice, especially coming into a tournament like this where it's the first tournament of a new format and you don't really know. So I've played Seismitoad before, and it's I think a deck people are familiar with, so you kind of have an idea of how to play it, and so. You kind of already know. All right, I know it's pretty good. Rayquaza could be good, but I know Seismitoad's going to be good. So
yeah, you'd go with the sure thing over the. We don't quite know what this is capable of yet.
It's a ton of fun, and it's probably a pretty good deck. But I feel like Seismitoad was more conservative play.
Yeah, well, we've had 2 rounds on stream so far, 2 Seismitoad decks. We had Jason Kozinski win the first round with Seismitoad, so it seems like it's pretty big here so far at the tournament. I see in your deck list you got things like Team Flare Grunt, Zero Sick, AZ. Are you worried about facing other Seismitoad decks as well?
Yeah. I thought about even playing another supporter, like another Team Flare Grunt or Zero Sick or something, just for that matchup. So, I loaded it up with cards like that. I thought about what did I do here? I cut a VS Seeker for I thought about putting in another supporter. I put in something else though, but so that is definitely a matchup I was concerned about, and I think at minimum you have to play 2 of some combination of Team Flare Grunt, Zero Sick. And, it wouldn't be a bad thing to play more.
Yeah. Now, the final decision of your deck on the back of the sheet.
On the back of the sheet.
We have Scoop Up Cyclone. What made you go with that A-Spec card?
I have no idea, to be honest. I think I saw a list somewhere that played it, and I was like, oh, all right, Scoop Up Cyclone, that fits in with the deck. You know, I know like computer search is probably the obvious one, and so, but then I just felt like, you know, I don't really need it. You get through the deck, the computer search, you know, obviously it's a great card, but I don't know. In hindsight, if I gave it a lot of thought, I probably would have went with computer search, but we'll roll with Scoop Up Cyclone.
So far, it's working.
It's okay. It's okay. It kind of, you know, it works.
Now, for the rest of the tournament, are there any decks you are afraid to run into? Anything you want to play against? Do you have any idea?
I'm afraid of decks I haven't played against.
Like the one you just played against?
Yeah. And I would like to play against decks I have played against, even if they're poor matchups. I think Groudon is a tough matchup.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played it a lot, you know, so... You know, there's two things there. It's tough, and I really don't know how to play it very well, probably. You know, I played it like maybe once or twice a couple weeks back, and my friend was just like, "What are you doing? That's not right at all." So we'll see if I run into that. That's probably a tough matchup. I'd like to avoid that. But you know, otherwise, you know, keep rolling. You know, the deck, you know, it's pretty effective against most things anyway. So I kind of do my thing and. You know, shut down the other deck really no matter what it does. So hopefully just keep that going.
Yeah, just flip some heads on Crushing Hammer, Quaking Punch. I mean,
how hard can it be? Yeah. I felt bad that first game. I did get a string of like 4 or 5 heads in a row against Dustin. Yeah, when you flip well with the deck, and obviously with the super scoop ups, it's a very flippy deck. But you know. But you just should get, you know, the universe should allow you to get a couple to go your way, and I think the deck only really needs a couple to go away. You don't need, you know, 3, 4 Crushing Hammer flips every game, you know, to win. You just need the big few.
All right, Matt. Well, congratulations on the win here in the second round. We got a long ways to go, but hopefully we'll see you up here at the desk again. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right, and we'll be right back with some deck analysis, so stay tuned.